Okay, comrades, this is very much proud moment for SFI. Here we have former SFI leaders and fraternal organization leaders. But the speciality here, actually on behalf of that former leaders, comrade M.A. Baby and comrade Nilolpal Basu and comrade YV Rao is attending. Comrade Baby and YV was a former SFI All India President, and comrade Nilolpal Basu was former General Secretary of SFI. But on behalf of fraternal organization, here comrade Vikram Singh is here. There is no need to introduce him. He is attending this conference to felicitate on behalf of AAW, All India Agriculture Workers Union. And comrade Umesh is here. He is coming on for that. He is representing CITU now. He was earlier SFI All India Vice President. And we have comrade Muralidharan, NPRD convener. He was Gujarat State Secretary. And after he relieved from SFI, the first conference happened in the last month only. That's the thing happened with Gujarat. And comrade Suganya was CEC member of SFI, and now she is in All India Democratic Women's Association. And comrade Himda also, Himangaraj Bhattacharya also was former SFI leader. And our comrade Kerala State Committee member, comrade Arya Prasad also here. She is a martyr comrade's sister. Not only, she is also a fighter. Last year, comrade also attacked by other right-wing goons, and that she is continuing that fight and slogan what her brother comrade raised. So, first of all, we are starting with our fraternal organization, and I'm inviting comrade Umesh on behalf of CITU. We know, and they also know, we are running out of time. So that will be in their mind. They know SFI also, our conference procedure also. So they will, in short, everybody will speak. Okay, I'm inviting comrade Umesh to speak.
Comrades of the Presidium and all our former leaders of SFI and the whole delegations of from different states of India. On behalf of CITU, as well as personally, I extend revolutionary greetings to this conference, and I convey that it's a proud moment that all our guests over here who are former presidents and former general secretaries, along with that, all fraternal leadership which has also come from SFI. That's the contribution that SFI has given to the movement of this nation. And we hope that this contribution will continue further in days to come, years to come, so that the democratic movement of the nation will be strengthened by the school of thought from which we all came from. I hope that if I would have not joined SFI at that time when I was doing my law, I would have not been here as a CITU leader. I remember the first state committee which I attended when YV was our All India President. It is in that state committee that I decided that I should be a whole-timer. That decision has brought me over here from small town where I was just studying my law to Delhi now for the center of CIT. And it is because of the reason that I joined SFI that today I am in CIT. If at all I would have not joined SFI at that time, definitely I would have been on the other side of the industrial relations, having done my master's in labor law. So it is the SFI that contributed so many leadership to the movement of the nation, as well as which contributed me also to be in the part of this working class movement. At the same time, we all know that CITU as a central trade union, as a class-oriented trade union affiliated to World Federation of Trade Unions, is fighting all through and leading a joint movement of working class movement of this nation. CITU in our Kannur All India Conference, we gave a call, reach the unreached, to see that the whole working class is united to fight the policies, to change the policies. With that slogan, CITU is trying to unite all of the central trade unions. As a part of that, in the last 3 years, we have seen that there were 3 general strikes, of which 4 days general strikes were there. And on side, while SFI is fighting this new education policy, we on behalf of CITU as well as the working class of the whole of the nation, we are fighting the same policies of the Narendra Modi-led BJP government. While in the education field, as our earlier comrade was speaking, while I was listening to your deliberations, the whole fascistic forces is trying to catch hold of the minds of the young. At the same time, they are trying to see to it that all hard-earned rights of the working class that were earned from the days of freedom struggle have been taken away. But at the same time, the ruling government is not able to implement that. I wish to remind you that even though the code on wages was adopted in the parliament in 2019, August itself, until now, for last 3 years, working class of India has not allowed the government to implement it, to notify it. At the same time, during the 2020, that too particularly during COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, they again brought 3 other codes. Through these 4 codes, they have just seen to it that all 29 central labor laws that were there, statutes were there, are annulled and codified into 4. But in spite of these 2 years, they have been not able to implement those 3 codes. And now, of late, Narendra Modi government, which has given a slogan saying that Shramayeva Jayate, has gone to Tirupati to seek the blessings of Lord Balaji to get this labor codes being implemented. And the Honorable Prime Minister, who claims himself to be the leader of the world, who is being claimed to be a Vishwaguru by their own people, and some of our media friends also, has taken refuge in Lord Balaji, saying that their slogan of Shramayeva Jayate will be realized by the time India reaches its independence centenary year. And they have said that in 75th year of Indian independence, that's Amrut Varsh, next 25 years is going to be Amrut Kal. In this Amrut Kal, they will see to it that this Shramayeva Jayate will be realized. But these 4 labor codes are going to take away every right of working class, against which the working class of India is fighting, and which the working class of India has seen to it that it will not be implemented. Similarly, as Kisan did, through their year-long struggle, to see that those 3 trio farm laws were withdrawn. Now, Prime Minister, while addressing that National Labour Conference, not only that, they are changing every nomenclature. Whatever the meaning that we used to have when we thought of Labour Conference, means it was Indian Labour Conference. It was called ILC, which was started while Baba Sahib Ambedkar was the Labour Minister as well as Law Minister. Now for all these years, since 2015, Indian Labour Conference has not been called, which is a tripartite body, which is supposed to take a decision on all labour matters. It has not been called except one time. But we call him as a state Vishwaguru, our Honorable Prime Minister. But he is not capable of facing the working class of India, calling an Indian Labour Conference. This is the situation. But he has said that in National Labour Conference, which was never known to India, National Labour Conference where labour was not there, where only Labour Minister, Labour officers and central government officers were there. There they have said that these 4 labor codes are going to be beneficial to the working class. But Indian working class has said that we will never allow these labor codes to be implemented. We'll see to it, whatever happens, we'll fight it out. With that spirit, Indian working class is fighting it. On January 30th, coming 2023, the whole of the central trade unions are organizing a national convention at Delhi. And again, all we 3 class organizations, Kisan Sabha, Agriculture Workers Union and CITU, we 3 have joined together with an historic unity to see that April 5th of 2023 is going to be a biggest ever mobilization in the history of India, to see that Kisan Mazdoor Sangharsh rally will be there to the parliament. With these, while we are going, the same Narendra Modi government is giving up a slogan saying Atmanirbhar Bharat, make in India, skill India, stand up India. What all India they want, they have said everything. But at the same time, if you look into a statistics that has been given by the Labour Department of our nation, Government of India, it says that from 2014-15 to 2019-20, annual survey of Indian industry says that in all aspect, whether it is in the industrial growth, year-on-year growth rate, or in terms of wages year-on-year growth rate, or in terms of gross value addition, or in terms of net value addition, or in terms of output to input ratio, whatever you call, there is a decline. With all this decline, the BJP government claims that it's a Atmanirbhar Bharat. It's Make in India. In spite of their slogans of Make in India, there is a decline in the growth rate of industrial production in manufacturing sector. This is what we are seeing. In this situation, to overcome this, they have tried to have an ideological attack on our educational institutions. In this attack, we are proud to call ourselves to be a part of SFI when we were in student movement, students' times. That SFI is fighting all that ideological attack, whether it be at JNU or any university in the nation. For that, I congratulate you all on behalf of CIT. With these words, comrade, as already our president has said, there is a depth of time and all. I once again greet you all, and I wish that the contribution of SFI to the democratic movement of this nation will further continue, not in small terms, in a big terms, so that this nation can be saved. To save this nation, we have to unitedly fight. Long live student workers unity. Thank you, comrade. Thank you very much. Inqilab Jindabad.
Comrade Muralidharan from NPRD.
Comrades of the Presidium, the distinguished leadership on the stage, former SFI leaders, and all other leaders of the mass organizations that are there on the stage, and delegates to the 17th Conference of the SFI. At the outset, on behalf of the National Platform for the Rights of Disabled and its Executive Committee, I convey my greetings to this 17th Conference and wish it all success. Comrades, the only motive I had in mind of coming here is to see that the Students' Federation of India, of which I was associated, as Sanu said at the beginning, for quite some time, also takes up issues concerning persons with disabilities and students with disabilities. And Sanu informs me there are 2 delegates, one from Tripura, Nilanjan, and the JNU unit president, Anjana, I'm told, I forgot got the name correctly, are here representing our students with disabilities, and there is a 5 minutes that have been set aside for discussing issues of students with disabilities. I'm grateful to the SFI leadership for this initiative that they have taken, and I'm sure in the days ahead, much more discussion will take place on issues concerning students with disabilities and on the campus. It's not a question of access to educational campus alone. It's a question of access to education as a whole, access to educational material, access to various other amenities on the educational campuses. See, I represent an organization which works among persons with disabilities. The RPD Act, the Rights of Persons with Disability Act, was enacted in 2016, legislated in 2016, categorizes or recognizes 21 types of disabilities, 21 categories of disabilities. There are many more that are in the pipeline to be added or wanting recognition. So it's a wide canvas that is there. So among them, there are specified learning disabilities as well. Dyslexia, dysuria, dyscalculia, etc. So these students, the Act also confers mandates 5% reservation in educational institutions, higher institutions of higher learning actually. But this is not being implemented across campuses anywhere in the country. So as representatives of Student Federation of India actually, as leaders of the students organization, I urge upon you to take up issue of reservations also, non-implementation of reservations, provision of access, etc. education to all students. So 2011 census is the state of education as far as disabled persons are concerned actually. The 2011 census says that only 51% of the disabled population in this country is literate. Those who are attending schools also, the mass of the students actually don't cross senior second, no, I can't say, even the primary education actually, they drop out. The drop age is actually very high. Now the coming into force of NEP, as a delegate from MP was pointing out, the neighborhood schools are being closed. The closure of neighborhood schools is actually going to impact not just girl students and people coming from other marginalized sections, but also disabled students in a large way. Because transportation will be a big issue for them. Parents would not be willing to send students with disabilities to long distances. There will be various concerns. So children with disabilities are going to lose. It's not just about neighborhood schools also. There are various other things that are going to come into play. Also the issue of this online education that is being promoted. Children with disabilities is being promoted for children with disabilities in a big manner actually. So the children with disabilities are going to be left out of the school system itself. This is a big attack on education actually as far as disabled students also are concerned. So these are some of the issues actually on which I would like, we would be working on this. We are the only organization actually, the NPRD is the only organization which has actually taken a stand, a firm, unequivocal stand against the NEP. No other disability organization in the country has actually come out against the NEP. They have welcomed the NEP actually, saying that it talks about inclusion, actually talks about exclusion. That we have been pointing out, and I would like SFI also to play a major role actually in discussing issues of students with disabilities. As for the NPRD is concerned, we will be cooperating with the SFI and other student organization in opposing these policies and taking up student issues of common concern, etc. With these words, I conclude my small intervention, and I thank you very much. I thank the SFI leadership once again for inviting me to address this conference. Thank you very much.
Comrade Suganya on behalf of EDWA.
Members of the Presidium and all other leaders on the dais and dear delegate comrades. On behalf of EDWA, I feel really proud to convey our warm greetings to all our fighting young comrades who are present here. Comrades, you have been fighting against the forces of communalism in all the campuses. You have been fighting for democratic rights, and you have been fighting against corporatization of education. And you have lost many comrades during this battle, we know. And many of you have suffered so much during this battle. Still you are continuing this fight. And so we are really proud. That is why we say we are really proud to convey our greetings to you, comrade. We all know that the situation in our country that we are facing is very critical. Modi government is undermining all the basic principles of Constitution of India. The new education policy of 2020, the details of which you are discussing in your conference, that has seen serious consequences on education of children, especially that of girl students. It is silent on reservation and also not bothered about gender equality. The attitude of the central government is evident from its recent decisions. That is, it has decided to stop the scholarships for minority students, including those who are doing research. And the most affected part of this will be also girl students who are doing their PhD and other research works. The union government has also decided to stop pre-matric scholarships for students from class 1 to 8 belonging to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and other backward castes. So during COVID days itself, we have seen that many students were unable to continue their education as they cannot afford to pay their fees. So AIDVA also took up such issues along with the student movement in India. The Sangh Parivar, they are trying to spread irrational ideas through the syllabus. And they are standing for, we all know that they are standing for Manuvadi ideology. And Manuvadi ideology, that is against the Dalits, backward caste, minorities, and it is also anti-women as it abhors patriarchy. AIDVA has held constant struggles and is still fighting against Manuvadi ideology. You see, after the coming of Modi government to power in India, violence against women, especially Dalit and Muslim women, has increased manifold. Governments led by BJP in different states, they are supporting the criminals, as we have seen in Hathras, Lakhimpur and many other places. In BJP-ruled states, they are framing laws to curb the choice of young people. 9 states, including Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat and Karnataka, they have already passed the anti-conversion laws in the pretext that it will put an end to the so-called love jihad. And their intention is very clear. That is to frighten the minority and also to control the freedom of choice of life partner. Honor killings are increasing all over India. Inter-religious and inter-caste marriages are considered as a threat against the family's honor by the fundamentalists. The suggestion made by the central government to raise the age of marriage for girls to 21, that also revealed the hypocrisy of BJP. Their actual concern was not about the health of mothers or the underweight of the newborn babies. If that was their concern, they should have spent more on public health, more on ICDS, etc. But on the contrary, they are reducing their expenditure on this. They pretend to be progressive by making such a suggestion, but actually they want to control the choice making and also the sexuality of young women. You see, the growth of right-wing ideology that has become a major challenge to freedom of women all over the world. And we see in many parts of the world, especially recently in Iran, a very huge fight that is even continuing against the control on women, their dressing, especially when they are not using hijab. They are punished for that. Mahsa Amini, she was murdered. Many others also became martyrs in that struggle. And while that is happening in Iran, we have seen in India that in Karnataka especially, the girls who were wearing hijab, they were not allowed to enter educational institutions. AIDVA feels that both these are undemocratic, and AIDVA believes that an individual has the right to choose what to wear. In the hijab issue, AIDVA upheld the stand that not allowing a girl student to enter the campus for wearing a hijab is an attack on the right to education of that individual. And another matter of concern that your comrades were discussing here earlier, that is the growing unemployment rate in India. And among the unemployed majority are women. And recent statistics shows that the work participation rate of women in India that has dropped steeply to 9% after COVID. And this situation that is also creating many other problems like even the number of suicides among youth that is also increasing. It also gives the drug mafia a loophole to spread its influence among the youth. So comrades, there are many issues that we have to fight together, and let us pledge in this conference that in all these issues we will have united struggles. AIDVA's 13th All India Conference is being held at Thiruvananthapuram from 2023, January 6th to 9th. Unity in struggle for equality, and that is the slogan of our All India Conference. On behalf of AIDVA, I welcome SFI leaders to greet our conference. You see that in many of our state committees, former SFI leaders are now our office bearers. Here also we have seen that all the fraternal leaders, they are coming, they were earlier SFI leaders or SFI activists. And So that is for us, SFI is our parental organization. And this is the moment which gave us the strength to fight against all kind of injustice in our society. And this is the moment which has transformed thousands of students to socially committed individuals and thereby helped to expand the base of the left movement in India. EDWA welcomes all the girls who are now working in SFI as SFI activists in all the campuses to our organization. Before ending, I thank SFI for giving us an opportunity to address your conference. With these words, I conclude my short speech. Together we will march forward for a better world. Inqilab Zindabad, SFI Zindabad, independence, democracy, socialism Zindabad, EDWA Zindabad. Thank you, comrade.
I'm waiting Comrade Bhattacharya, dyfi General Secretary, to speak.
Comrade, Presidium and former leaders of SFI and others, comrade. First of all, on behalf of the SFI, on the behalf of the dyfi, I would like to extend revolutionary greetings to all of you. At the same time, I wish this conference success and hope that this conference will show a new direction to the left students' youth movement of the country in the coming days. This conference is taking place at a very difficult time. It is very difficult for general common students and youth and all the general people of India, of our country. वर्तमान समय छात्रों के शिक्षा का अधिकार प्रभावित हो रहा है। बेरोजगारों के पास कोई रोजगार नहीं है, किसानों के पास फसल का दाम नहीं है, मजदूरों के पास उचित मजदूरी नहीं है। मनु संहिता के जाल में देश की महिलाओं को फंसाए रखने का प्रयास जारी है। हर दिन धर्म के नाम पर देश में सांप्रदायिकता का जहर फैलाना का सिलसिला भी जारी है। आखिरकार देश के संविधान पर आरएसएस और बीजेपी की द्वारा हमला किया जा रहा है। ये बीजेपी और आरएसएस अपने तरीके से ये संविधान को बदलना चाहता है। देश के इतिहास को ये लोग बदलना चाहते हैं। जिनकी देश की स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन में कोई भागीदारी नहीं है, वो आज देश के सबसे बड़े साहसिक देशभक्त है। इस सब कुछ के खिलाफ हम लोग लड़ रहे हैं, एसएफआई भी लड़ रहा है। अन्य जो वामपंथी जन संगठन है और राजनीतिक दल है, वो भी ये लड़ाई लड़ रहा है। लेकिन इस लड़ाई में एसएफआई और डीवाईएफआई का ज्यादा जिम्मेदारी है, क्योंकि इस देश में, हमारा देश में ज्यादातर लोगों का उम्र 40 साल से कम है। हमारा देश यंगेस्ट कंट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड है। इसलिए और ये जो नौजवान हैं, ये लोग देश की राजनीतिक दिशा क्या होगी ये तय करती है, और इसके बीच एसएफआई डीवाईएफआई काम करता है। इसलिए हम लोगों का अधिक जिम्मेदारी है। कॉमरेड, लगभग सभी स्टेट पर विभिन्न मुद्दे पर एसएफआई और डीवाईएफआई एक साथ काम करता है। अखिल भारतीय स्तर पर भी हम एसएफआई और डीवाईएफआई एक साथ काम करते हैं। हम लोगों को पता है कि एसएफआई के ऊपर कैंपस में कैसे हमला किया जा रहा है और कैंपस के बाहर भी कैसे ये हमला किया जा रहा है। और ये हमला न केवल शारीरिक हमला है, ये जो है हमला चेतना के जगत पर लगातार ये हमला हो रहा है। इसके दौरान एसएफआई के कभी साथी शहीद हो गए हैं। ये शहीदों का खून बेकार नहीं जाएगा कॉमरेड। और इसके साथ में ये और एक बात आपके सामने कहना चाहती हूँ कि आगे जो लड़ाई है, ये लड़ाई ज्यादा कठिन है, लेकिन हम लोगों को पता है कि कैसे ये लड़ाई लड़ा जा रहा है और कैसे ये लड़ाई लड़ना है। क्योंकि जिंदगी की असली उड़ान अभी बाकी है, क्योंकि जिंदगी की इम्तिहान अभी बाकी है। अभी तो नापी है मुट्ठी भर जमीन हमने, अभी तो सारा आसमान बाकी है। ये पूरा आसमान को कब्जे करने के लिए और ये समाज को बदलने का जो लड़ाई है, संघर्ष है, ये जारी रहेगा कॉमरेड। अब सभी को लाल सलाम देते हुए इनकलाब जिंदाबाद, एसएफआई डीवाईएफआई जिंदाबाद।
from Adivasi Rashtriya Adhikar Manch, Comrade Sriram Naik is here. Comrade, please come to dais. Comrade Sriram Naik from Adivasi Rashtriya Adhikar Manch. So now I invite Comrade Vikram Singh on behalf of All India Agriculture Workers Union.
Comrade M.A. Baby, Comrade Nilotpal Basu, क्लास और मैथ्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के लीडर्स, SFI का नेतृत्व और मेरे साथियों, देश के करोड़ों खेत मजदूरों और उनके संगठन अखिल भारतीय खेत मजदूर की तरफ से आपके इस सम्मेलन को बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं कि इस सम्मेलन से आप और ज़्यादा ताकत के साथ निकलेंगे और इंडिपेंडेंस, डेमोक्रेसी, सोशलिज्म के झंडे को ज़्यादा ऊंचाई के साथ आगे लेके जाएंगे। अपनी बात को शुरू करने से पहले मुझे लगता है कि मुझे आप लोगों का धन्यवाद करना चाहिए। धन्यवाद इसलिए कि स्टूडेंट फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया इतने मुश्किल दौर में जो देश का गरीब है, जो देश का खेत मजदूर है, जिस संगठन से मैं आता हूं, उस जमात का, उस क्लास के जो बच्चों की आंखों का सपना है, वो सपना कि वो भी एक स्कूल में जाएगा, बेहतरीन कॉलेज में जाएगा, विश्वविद्यालय में जाएगा, जो आज के नव उदारवाद के दौर में, मैं यूं कहूं मोदीमय दौर के अंदर वो जो सपना कमजोर होता जा रहा है, उस सपने को पूरा करने के लिए मेरे SFI के साथी दिन रात लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं। मेरा क्रांतिकारी सलाम। और हमसे बेहतर कौन जान सकता है इसकी जरूरत। खेत मजदूर जिसके पास अपने श्रम को बेचने के अलावा कुछ नहीं है, जमीन नहीं, संसाधन नहीं है, सामाजिक तौर से वंचित है। अगर कोई एक आशा दिखती है, हमें पता है कि भूमि सुधार के लिए लंबी लड़ाई लड़नी पड़ेगी, वो जो ताकत मिलेगी संसाधनों से, इस समय अगर कोई दिखती है, वो दिखती है शिक्षा। एजुकेशन अगर ले पाएंगे बच्चे हमारे, वो एजुकेशन लेके ही अपना ही भविष्य नहीं संवारेंगे। बड़े सारे सोशल साइंटिस्ट रिसर्च करते हैं कि एक डिप्राइव्ड सेक्शन का बच्चा जब IIT पहुंचता है, IIM पहुंचता है, वो केवल अपने परिवार का उत्थान नहीं करता है, वो पूरी की पूरी कम्युनिटी का, पूरे विलेज का, पूरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट का उत्थान करता है, उन सबको आगे लेके जाता है। इसलिए हमसे ज़्यादा महत्व कौन समझ सकता है सार्वजनिक शिक्षा का, पब्लिक सेक्टर एजुकेशन का। बहुत मुश्किल दौर में आप लोग काम कर रहे हैं। मैं जब बैठा था तो मैं सोच रहा था, वेरियस जनरेशन्स बैठी हैं यहाँ पर। बहुत बार लोग पूछते हैं, मेरे को दिनीत पूछ रहा था कि भैया कैसा लग रहा है, हम लोग कैसा काम कर रहे हैं। मैं उनको बोल रहा था कि जो लोग आप काम कर रहे हैं, हम वो लोग काम नहीं कर सकते थे। क्यों? मुझे याद है कॉमरेड बेबी, कॉमरेड निलोत्पल का जो टाइम था, वो टाइम क्या था? वो टाइम था एक्सपेंड द पब्लिक सेक्टर एजुकेशन। हर जिले में, हर तालुका में, हर तहसील में कॉलेज होना चाहिए, आंगनबाड़ी गांव में होना चाहिए, स्कूल होना चाहिए। फिर नव उदारवाद का दौर आया, हम लड़ते थे जो आपका प्राइवेटाइजेशन नहीं होना चाहिए। फिर SFI ने तय किया कि प्राइवेटाइजेशन तो है, हम क्या कोशिश करेंगे, प्राइवेटाइजेशन को रेगुलाइज करना चाहिए। सरकारी जो संस्थान है, अगर उनको बढ़ाना नहीं है, मजबूत करना चाहिए, स्ट्रेंथन द पब्लिक सेक्टर एजुकेशन। पर अब 2014 के बाद से जो दौर आया है, हम लोग क्या लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं? आप लोग क्या लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं? वो लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं कि जो मेरे गांव देहात के अंदर जो जिक्र कर रहे थे पहले भी, वो जो आंगनबाड़ी है, नेबरहुड के अंदर जो स्कूल है, मेरी तालुका में जो कॉलेज है, उस कॉलेज को बंद ना किया जाए। पहले की सरकारों का काम था शिक्षा का विस्तार करना, सार्वजनिक शिक्षा का, पर नरेंद्र मोदी का काम है उसको कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करना, उसको बंद करना, उसको खत्म करना और सार्वजनिक शिक्षण संस्थानों को बंद करना। ये बहुत बड़ी लड़ाई है और आप लोग ये लड़ाई लड़ पा रहे हैं। इसलिए मेरा सलाम आप लोगों को। पूरा दौर बदल चुका है। मैं अभी संयुक्त ऑल इंडिया किसान सभा की कॉन्फ्रेंस से आ रहा हूं और उस कॉन्फ्रेंस के अंदर हमने संयुक्त किसान मोर्चा के तमाम नेतृत्व को बुलाया था, वहां पे बात की थी। मैं उसका जिक्र क्यों कर रहा हूं? इसलिए मैं जिक्र उसका कर रहा हूं कि अभी आप लोग बोल रहे थे ना कि हमें असंभव को संभव करना है, तो पिछले 6 साल 5 साल हमें यह बताया गया इस मीडिया के द्वारा, जो वर्तमान सत्ता के पैरोकार हैं उनके द्वारा, कि नरेंद्र मोदी जो बोल देते हैं वो तो पत्थर की लकीर है, वो वापस नहीं हो सकता। जो पार्लियामेंट पास कर देता है वो वापस नहीं हो सकता। पर 1 साल दिल्ली की सड़कों पे ऊपर किसानों ने मोर्चा बांधा और नरेंद्र मोदी को घुटनों पे ला दिया और उन 3 कृषि कानूनों को वापस करने की मजबूर किया। मैं इसलिए जिक्र नहीं कर रहा कि वो बड़ी बात है, आप लोग जानते हैं मैं जिक्र क्यों कर रहा हूँ। मैं इसलिए जिक्र कर रहा हूँ कि एक चर्चा है कि नई शिक्षा नीति तो लागू हो गई, वो तो इम्प्लीमेंट हो गई, वो स्कूल बंद होना शुरू हो गए हैं, बड़ा मुश्किल है कैसे वापस करेंगे। मेरे SFI के साथी जब कंपेन करने जाते हैं लोगों में तो लोग उनको बोलते हैं कि अब तो NEP इम्प्लीमेंट हो गई है, अब ये क्या होगा। मैं आप लोगों से ये सिर्फ ये बात इसलिए शेयर कर रहा हूँ कि असंभव नहीं है, असंभव नहीं है। आपकी लड़ाई उस शिक्षा को बचाने की आज भी संभव है। हम ये जरूर समझते हैं, हम यहाँ से ये जरूर समझते हैं कि हाँ ये लड़ाई केवल और केवल स्टूडेंट नहीं लड़ पाएंगे, इसलिए हमारा मॉडल नहीं है। हम ये नहीं बोल रहे कि दिल्ली के अंदर मोर्चा लगाना पड़ेगा जैसे SKM ने किया। आपका अलग मोर्चा होगा, आपका बैटलफील्ड अलग होगा, आपका तरीका अलग होगा। क्यों? क्योंकि SFI एनालाइज करती है उसको राइटली और लड़ने का तरीका भी इख्तियार करती है। आप लोगों ने करके दिखाया। मुझे याद है हरियाणा में, राजस्थान में छात्रों और अभिभावकों के साथ स्टूडेंट पेरेंट्स का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बना के स्कूलों को बंद करने के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ी, स्कूलों के अंदर इनरोलमेंट रेशियो बढ़ाने के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी और आप लोग उसके अंदर जीते हैं। ये मैं आशा लेकर आप लोगों के बीच में आया हूं कि आप लोग करेंगे। सिर्फ 2 सबक मुझे बात करनी है। ये जो संयुक्त किसान मोर्चा हुआ उसके 2 सबक हैं। एक सबक इशू बेस्ड यूनिटी और उस यूनिटी को लेकर लंबी लड़ाई, और दूसरा तय क्या करता है कि जीत होगी नहीं होगी। कम हमला नहीं था, बहुत बड़ा हमला था, आप लोगों ने देखा। पर ताकत क्या थी? ताकत कोई राकेश टिकायत नहीं थी, ताकत कोई उग्रहा जी नहीं थी, ताकत कोई हनन मोला नहीं थी। ताकत क्या था? वो लाखों लाख किसान जो दिल्ली की सड़क पे थे और पूरे भारत के ऊपर सड़क थे, वो ताकत थी। हम कितनी जोर से बैरिकेड को धक्का देते हैं, हम कितनी जोर से पुश करते हैं पुलिस को, वो हमारी ताकत नहीं है। हमारी ताकत है कितने लोगों का प्रतिनिधित्व आप लोग करते हैं, कितने लोग आप लोगों के साथ लगते हैं। और मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि वो लाखों जो आपके सदस्य हैं उनका प्रतिनिधित्व SFI करती हैं, उनको सड़क पे उतारने की जरूरत है, उसको हम लड़ाई को लड़ पाएंगे। बड़ी लंबी मुझे बात आप लोगों के साथ नहीं करनी है। ये जो लड़ाई है, इस लड़ाई के अंदर अखिल भारतीय खेत मजदूर यूनियन, भारत का ग्रामीण मजदूर, भारत का खेत मजदूर, क्योंकि ये आपकी लड़ाई नहीं है, ये हमारी लड़ाई है, इसको हम आपके साथ लड़ने के लिए तैयार हैं। हम ग्रामीण भारत में आप लोगों के साथ खड़े हैं। अभी लड़ाई नई शिक्षा नीति और रोजगार। अगर वहाँ पे 3 कृषि कानून थे और छात्रों और नौजवानों के सामने, तो सामने दिखता हुआ हमला है शिक्षा, नई शिक्षा नीति और जो आपका रोजगार है, उसके लिए आप लोग लड़िए, उसके लिए आप लोग लड़ाई लड़िए। हम आपके साथ खड़े हैं, उस लड़ाई के अंदर आपके हम शिरकत करेंगे। हाँ, मैं देख रहा था यहाँ भी, इस तरफ भी, तमाम तरफ शहीदों के नाम हैं। हम उस दर्द को समझ सकते हैं। जब दिल्ली के बॉर्डर के अंदर रात को हम सोते थे किसान के साथ, और जब सुबह देखते थे हमारे बीच में वो नहीं रहा। 7.5 किसानों ने जो बलिदान दी है, शहादत दी है, और आपके साथी अभिमन्यु, आपके साथी सैफुद्दीन, आपके साथी सुदीप्तो जब नहीं होते हैं, रात को नारा लगाते हैं और अगले दिन आपके साथ नहीं होते हैं, वो दर्द का रिश्ता हम आपके साथ बांधते हैं, वो शहादतों का। पर किसी भी लड़ाई को लड़ने के लिए शहादत देनी पड़ती है, और वो शहादतें मैं SFI के सामने बोल रहा हूँ, जिसकी विरासत, जिससे हमने सीखा है कि शहादत होता क्या है। वो अपने समय का, अपने करियर का और सबसे बड़ा अपने जीवन का बलिदान देने से भी SFI पीछे नहीं हटती है। इसलिए मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि जो बड़ी लड़ाई है, इस लड़ाई को SFI बड़ी मजबूती के साथ लड़ेगी और आगे बढ़ेगी। और ये लड़ाई केवल शिक्षा को बचाने की नहीं है, ये लड़ाई मानवता को भी बचाने की है। क्यों? अगर कोई बच्चा फीस नहीं देने के कारण स्कूल से बाहर हो जाता है और मेरे मन में उसके प्रति गुस्सा नहीं आता है, मेरा सिर गुस्से से कामता नहीं है, तो वह इंसान कहलाने के मैं लायक नहीं हूं। अगर किसी महिला को बुर्का पहनना है या नहीं पहनना है, इसके चलते उसके लिए गेट के दरवाजे, कॉलेज का गेट बंद हो जाता है और मेरे अंदर गुस्सा नहीं आता है, तो मैं इंसान नहीं हूं। अगर किसी महिला को उसे मजहब के नाम के ऊपर उसके मार दिया जाता है, उसके 3 साल की बच्ची को मार दिया जाता है और हमें गुस्सा नहीं आता है, हम इंसान नहीं है। अगर उसके दोषियों को भारत के आज़ादी के दिवस के ऊपर छोड़ दिया जाता है और हमें उस पर गुस्सा नहीं आता है, तो हम इंसान नहीं है। क्योंकि हम क्या जानते हैं, हमारा क्या स्लोगन है कि वी आर केपेबल इनफ टू ट्रेम्बल विद द एंगर एट ईच एंड एवरी इनजस्टिस। अगर कहीं भी होने वाले अत्याचार के खिलाफ मैं गुस्से से कांपने में सक्षम हो जाता हूं, तो मैं कॉमरेड हो जाता हूं, मैं साथी हो जाता हूं। और मुझे बड़ा गर्व है, मैं गर्व के साथ ये बोल सकता हूं कि ये जो विरासत है गुस्से के खिलाफ कांपने की, अपने को झोंक देने की, SFI की विरासत का, मैं भी एक छोटा सा सैनिक रहा हूं, एक छोटा सा सिपाही रहा हूं, इसलिए गर्व के साथ आपके सामने यहाँ पर खड़ा हूं। इसलिए दोस्तों, हमारा रास्ता साफ है, मैं यहाँ कोई प्रवचन देने नहीं आया हूँ कि हमारा समय वैसा होता था, आपका समय वैसा होता था। यू आर द बेस्ट जज, बहुत बढ़िया काम। पैंडेमिक हमने नहीं देखी, पैंडेमिक हमारी जनरेशन ने नहीं देखी, उसमें कैसे काम करना है आप लोगों ने हमारी जनरेशन को सिखाया है, उसमें कैसे काम करना है। अभी की न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, पिछली न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी अलग थी। हम सोच नहीं सकते थे कि ऐसा भी हमला होगा कि सिलेबस का 40% बोलेंगे कि आप घर बैठ के ऑनलाइन पढ़ो, उससे खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़नी है, वो हम नहीं बता पाएंगे। वो आप लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं और आप सीख रहे हैं, लड़ रहे हैं, बलिदान भी दे रहे हैं, बस इस विश्वास के साथ कि एसएफआई इस दौर में भी नहीं डरी थी, एसएफआई इस दौर में भी नहीं डरी थी। कल मैं आपकी पब्लिक मीटिंग सुन रहा था, वहाँ पे आपके नेता बोल रहे थे कि जिस जबान में वो समझते हैं उस जबान में हम समझाएंगे। मैं तो ये बोलता हूँ कि उनकी जबान नफरत है, हमारी जबान प्रेम है, और प्रेम करने वाले कभी हारते नहीं हैं, मानवता को आगे लेके जाने वाले कभी हारते नहीं हैं। हारते और डरते वो हैं, उनका जो नफरत की राजनीति है उसके तो हथियार ही दो हैं, हिंसा और घृणा। हिंसा हमारे खिलाफ और घृणा एक दूसरे के खिलाफ, और हम ना तो हिंसा करते हैं ना घृणा करते हैं, और ना उनकी हिंसा से मजबूती के साथ बोलते हैं, डरते हैं। क्योंकि हम भगत सिंह के अनुयायी हैं, हम सुदीप्तो के वारिस हैं, हम बाबा साहब के वारिस हैं, हम चे के वारिस हैं, जो डरे नहीं थे, जिन्होंने फांसी का फंदा चूमा और लड़ते लड़ते इनकलाब का नारा लगाते हुए शहादत हो गई। हम सावरकर के वारिस नहीं है कि डरकर चिट्ठियां लिखेंगे, चिट्ठियां लिखने वाले नहीं हैं, इनकलाबी लोग हैं। इस आशा के साथ कि इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के बाद, इस आशा के साथ कि इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के बाद जो इनकलाब का नारा है, जो अध्ययन व संघर्ष का नारा है, वो ज़्यादा मजबूती के साथ लगेगा भी और प्रैक्टिस में भी आएगा। और ये जो मैं जहाँ से शुरू किया था, वो सपना भारत के हर छात्र को शिक्षा देने का, वो सपना अभी बोल रहे थे कॉमरेड यहाँ से कि सबको शिक्षा सबको काम का, वो सपना जो है वो सपना धरातल पर हम उतारेंगे। और उस सपने की जो लड़ाई है उसकी अगुवाई भारत का छात्र फेडरेशन करेगा। हम साथ खड़े थे, साथ खड़े हैं, साथ खड़े रहेंगे। इनकलाब जिंदाबाद।
Our former All India President, Comrade M.A. Baby, will facilitate this conference.
Comrades of the Presidium, my fellow comrades who are participating in this special session along with me, my most beloved comrade delegates who are participating in the 17th All India Conference of the Students' Federation of India. So far as I am concerned, my reason for participation in this conference is not to give something to you by way of my intervention, by way of my greetings. My purpose basically is to gain some inspiration by facing you, the delegates of this conference, who are representing different battlefields in our country, fighting against communalism, fighting against commercialization of education, fighting against centralization of education. You are not representing the best fighters of the country alone among the student movement. You are representing the best elements in the student community in our country. Therefore, coming and being with you for even a couple of hours would be like recharging our batteries. We belong to the old guard. By being with you, we get inspired. We get more energy to carry forward whatever political and public work we are trying to do, whatever struggles in defense of the rights of the people we are trying to engage in. Due to paucity of time, I do not want to speak at length, though Comrade Neelu was telling me that what is being done in the state of Kerala, in the field of education especially, it would be useful to give a brief presentation. But don't be afraid of that suggestion or whether I am going to pay heed to that, because I know if I start speaking about that, it would consume a lot of time. You, through the course of your deliberations, delegates from Kerala might have told you about some of the initiatives that the only left democratic front government in our country is now initiating as an alternate policy as against what is being done by Narendra Modi government and what is being done by not only BJP state government, but most of the other non-left state governments also, mostly. Comrades, I want to mostly focus on the most important tasks that the democratic student movement, which is SFI, has to take up at this point of time. That is what you are discussing. But we have to realize, on the one hand, we have great confidence about our strengths, the correct paths that we are pursuing. And many of our comrades have been well-eyed. Dheeraj, Anish Khan, Abhimanyu and so on. But that is not distracting us from carrying forward the task that the democratic student community has to undertake. That inspiration, that confidence is fine, that is required. At the same time, we have to see the reality also. What is the reality? Far-right forces are trying to gain strength in different parts of the world. Within our country, with the latest election results, the land which gave birth to Mahatma Gandhi, their communal forces are consolidating like anything. Of course, they had setback in Delhi municipal elections. They suffered setback in Himachal Pradesh. But as a whole, we have to realize, realistically, objectively, that they are trying to consolidate themselves in a big way. And immediately, there is no democratic secular alternative emerging. This also is part of the reality. This is not the whole reality. But when we analyze things dialectically, we should understand where we stand, where the country stands with the present situation. More dangerous is another aspect, which is that the fascistic, poisonous communal ideology is very cleverly made common sense of a large section of masses. Here we should recall the very seminal analysis made by Antonio Gramsci, the great revolutionary fighter during Mussolini's fascist time in Italy. He correctly stated that the exploiting fascistic ruling classes are continuing with their domination, not only with their oppressive machinery. Oppressive state machinery is there. That's very important. But they try to make people believe their ideology as the true ideology or common sense. We have to analyze whether in India today such a situation is emerging in certain sections or not. We have confronted, and with the help of science, we have contained COVID-19 virus. But the virus of communalism, the virus being spread by RSS, that is being spread as cultural nationalism. Two very fine words, culture and nationalism. Of course, Rabindranath Tagore, even during the times of India's freedom struggle, when nationalist feeling has an entirely different meaning in that context, Tagore, in his famous observations, pointed out the dangers of nationalism. Now the dangers of nationalism in its communal, fascistic variety is being experienced in our country today. Here, student community has to play a very important role. Student community is an enlightened community. We have to spread out to all sections of our society. Students are sons and daughters of workers, peasants, ordinary masses, middle class. We have envy everywhere. This practical opportunity has to be utilized to counterpose these very important issues in our society today. There, while continuing with the activities of SFI and taking up the slogans of SFI, study, struggle, providing employment, trying to bring people together, unifying the people. All these important slogans you have evolved, and you are giving that call from the 17th All India Conference. But you are not going to remain as students, and you are not going to remain as activists of Students' Federation of India. That's a painful exercise. After a point of time, you will have to graduate, not only from your university, you will have to graduate in your democratic organizational work also. Some of you will have to join with the peasant movement, some of you will have to join the trade union movement, so on and so forth. So, from this point of view, while continuing with your activities as SFI cadres, you will have to work in the field of culture also. In colleges, in universities, cultural squads are to be organized. I think in some states this is happening. There are democratic cultural organizations, but working in culture cannot be left as a task of the cultural organization alone. Every mass organization will have to take it up. Students will have to take up more seriously. RSS, to spread their poisonous communal ideology, they have an organizational approach. What do they say? Catch them young. Among young boys and girls, they have their organization. In some states, it is called as Bala Gokulam, linking with a mythological entity. Bala Krishna, the Krishna, the boy. So these young boys and girls are told they are being like a fancy dress. They are given the dress of Sri Krishna. And on Sri Krishna Jayanti, their demonstrations are being organized. Unconsciously, they are being attracted towards certain ideologies. Student organization will have an opportunity to organize their younger brothers and sisters. School-going children are the younger brothers and sisters of student leaders. So in short, while continuing with the activities of the Students' Federation of India, various other organizational works can also be parallelly taken up by us, because to face this communal onslaught, fascistic onslaught, multifaceted activities are to be undertaken. This is the most crucial task. If we are able to undertake this task, we can make impossible possible. This is the understanding with which we should disperse from here with these few words. Once again, thanking Students' Federation of India for having given me an opportunity to come and face you. SFI Zindabad. Long live independence, democracy and socialism.
From Adivasi Adhigar Rashtriya Manch, Comrade Sriram Naik will deliver his speech.
Respective Presidium, dignitaries of the dais, delegates and friends. Heartily greetings from Central Committee of Adivasi Adhikar Rashtriya Manch ARM to the representative of Pioneer Student Development Movement. After the 75 years of Indian independence, still the nation is not obtained complete literacy. According the calculation, still 22.3% literacy in the country. In our country, particularly among scheduled tribes, there are 42% literacy still can be observed. It is 34% literacy among scheduled caste. The ruling class have failed to achieve the demand of the national movement of education for all. education is not taught in their respective languages. The BJP government forcefully wanted to implement Hindi language as one nation, one language. With that slogan, there is a possibility of tribal languages despair. Liberalization policies that commoditized education, turned education into portable business literally with this system, scientific, secular, democratic are encouraged. The present sectarian commodity fundamentalist BJP government speed of the corporatization of education has a result of the policies of the government. People are drawing in ignorance of path. Adivasi Adhikar Rashtriya Manch strongly believes this kind of situation can be changed by SFI only. According to the census 2011, are 10.45 crore tribal are living in this country. The BJP government has cancelled the planning commission which allocation 8.6% development plan funds for their welfare has a percentage which equals of population. There is no allocation of tribal funds on any basis. For the last 8 years, allocation funds to tribal are gradually reducing. As per 5th schedule, 6th schedule, the right to self-rule given to tribes in the Constitution and PISA Act are being completely watered down by the present BJP government. According to the Article 275/1, which are made provision for sanctioning speed, especially grant for development of infrastructure has been abolished. The reorganization of Forest Right Act 2006 brought the respective historical injustice done to the tribal people. The Supreme Court ordered the removal the 42 lakhs cultivate farmers for 21 states across the country, which are land in pending for settlement. The Supreme Court has cancelled GO number 3, which support 100% jobs for tribals in scheduled area of both Telugu states. The central government has failed so solve and involve in this issue. The Supreme Court has have judgment that without the resolution of the village assembly, mines, express highways, heavy irrigation project, such kind of development activities should not be held without proper resolution in tribal permissions. The same Supreme Court now said that to have tribes from the forest, which abolished the strong decision. From the same decisions, state government and central government are encouraging corporate companies to enjoy the fruit of the forest land at very cheaply. The notification of the forest protecting rule of 28 June 2022 are very dangerous. Ad hoc committee are conducting without the considering the opinions, rule of the tribal and without resolution of the village assembly committee formed, which are project diversity committee consisting of the officers and corporate expert, but without tribals. The parliament is also accepted lakhs of forest land to allocate corporates of the country. With the act, millions of the tribals who are depending on this forest will be terminate forcefully. So is country 173 of ITDS and 22 sub-officers, 56 cluster are working. There are no sufficient staff and funds to the development of tribal today became important to the government, unimportant in government. They established residential schools and colleges for the tribal education. Now they are in pathetic condition. Look up proper nutrition, teaching staff, drinking water. With frequently power cuts, people are troubling a lot. The central government has failed in the established tribal central university in both Telugu states, which are in this state reorganization act. Tribal are not belong the Hindu. They worship nature. They believe and tradition worship in entirely different from their hegemony of Hindu. The language, their custom, rituals and their habitats are primitive. The BJP government attack on their habits and culture. Tribal are being attacked and killed BJP ruling states in Go Gundas. At last, their votes are also suspicious. Today, tribal people are facing many challenges in India. They are fighting against government to protect their rights. They are facing many contestings. In this condition, all the tribal must conscious of present condition. The seeds of progress should be planted among them. We must invite them into organization movement. We are armed here to guide, help and cooperate to the movements and struggle undertaken by SFI. Arm will support in accept. Thank you. Red salute, Sri Ram Naik.
Comrade, him want to go now, so I am inviting Comrade Mayuk Bishwas to hand over the memento of our 17th All India Conference, and I am inviting Comrade Bhattacharya to take over this. Comrade Dinit will hand over the book published by Student Struggle, Indian Researcher and Leftward, Education or Exclusion. Comrade. Actually, we invited Dalit Shoshan. Actually, we invited Dalit Shoshan Mukti Manch leaders also, but they informed because of some other campaigns and other programs and their leaders' busy schedule, they are not coming to this conference. Anyway, they give warm revolutionary greetings to our conference. And next, Comrade Nilolpil Basu, former General Secretary of SFI, will deliver his speech.
Comrades of the Presidium and my very dear comrades who are delegates to this 17th Conference of the Students' Federation of India. For most of us who are here as part of your solidarity support, as well as some of us who have been there in the SFI as former activists of the organization, to be present in any event of the SFI is like homecoming, is like a pilgrimage. Now, Comrade Y.V. Rao, he will speak. He was just reminding me that in this very hall, 30 years back, YB became the secretary of the then United Andhra Pradesh SFI. Relieved. Okay, relieved. In fact, I had attended that conference. So it brings back a lot of fond memories, and I am very happy that part of this preparation for this conference, the student struggle has come out with numbers where some of us have been asked to talk about the past, the student movement, the student struggle, and so on and so forth. I won't take much time because I know you are constrained for time, and you had a very long session last night, moving into almost midnight. So I think it will be asking for too much if we burden you with a very long speech. And this is also a very inopportune time for holding the SFI conference because World Cup is going on, and again tonight there will be a match. So that is all the more reason that I should be brief. I think at this point in time, what is important to absorb is that our movement has always been trying to grapple with change, because change is the essence of physical reality that we live in. Without understanding change, we really cannot be effective in mobilizing the students. Because the point that needs to be underlined is that the student movement, perhaps than any other movement, reflects, mirrors the kind of changes that go on in the society. And from the days of its inception, the organized student movement, and subsequently more concretely after the formation of the SFI in 1970, we have tried to develop this legacy that Student Federation of India is essentially a student organization, mass student organization. And as a mass student organization, unless we can assert our independent and democratic entity, we cannot best address the requirements of the time. And in that sense, I think there will be a detailed discussion on the education policy, because subsequent to the government announcing the National Education Policy 2020, there has been two major events, of which, of course, implementation of NEP 2020 is one major aspect. The other major aspect, of course, is the outbreak of the COVID pandemic. And we keep on explaining that the COVID pandemic had affected the education sector and the activities of the students more than anybody else. The shutdown of the educational institutions started first, and it was withdrawn the last. And perhaps the SFI had to wage a battle for the reopening of the educational institutions. But as a part of that, Comrade Baby was explaining the new features of the education policy: centralization, commercialization, and communalization. But what the COVID has brought about, which perhaps it could not have had there been no pandemic, was this aggressive push for online digitized education, which at one stroke has, accompanied by the new education policy, pushed a large number of students out of the sphere of education. The latest data that is available, lakhs of schools, literally, they have closed down. And even in higher education, in colleges, in universities, the dropout rate has gone up like nobody's business. Now, if SFI is about, and you are talking about educate all. Now, if the students get pushed out of the education space, how can you educate all? Therefore, this has to be pushed back. And in that, I think an ideological reading of the NEP 2020 is most crucial. See, we had several education policies in this country. Before independence, the British had an education policy. And since independence, we had several versions of education policy. But NEP 2020 is fundamentally different from all these earlier versions of education policy. Fundamentally different in that earlier education policies were within the framework of using education as an instrument for building a democratic and secular state. But this education policy, without stating in so many words, is actually preparing the ground for a sectarian, narrow, fascist Hindutva state. Unless this fundamental fact is properly internalized, I think the kind of responses that the student movement will have to come up will not be there. So, the clampdown by the corporate and communal nexus, which will have its sway over entire range of education. And I think it will not be correct to say that earlier SFI has not given this question or slogan for employment in this concrete manner. In fact, from 80s, the slogan that captured the imagination of the young people, jobs for all, education for all, was formulated by SFI, and it was later on embraced by a large cross-section of student and youth organizations. Now, therefore, today we find the worst attack on both employment as well as education. Now, as a mass student organization, while SFI strives to mobilize the broadest sections of the students in this, unless that struggle is linked with the struggle against Hindutva, I think this achievement in that struggle would become impossible. Because we are seeing that despite the attack, in large part of the country, those very forces who are responsible, they are managing to hold on to their position. Comrade Baby was mentioning, I am not elaborating, about the upsurge of ultra right-wing forces worldwide. And we have seen the worst form of that right-wing offensive in India in the form of not just its economic content, but also its political, social, and ideological content. The attack is most intense in those areas where students come from a poor background, from socially deprived sections like scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, the gender inequality against minorities. And therefore, unless the SFI, while speaking for the entire body of the students and their rights, specifically articulate the concerns of these sections, I think we are heading towards a real disaster. So, the entire history of the student movement since its inception in 1936, what we can absorb today and the resolve and confidence from which you come out in this conference will be to see to it that defense of education, defense of employment becomes the broadest possible platform for uniting students and the unity of the students themselves. Without guarding for securing the unity of the students, this struggle cannot be won. So, comrades have been talking about the possibility of making the impossible possible. So I will just quote a line from a very famous Hindi poem by Dushwant Kumar, who wrote once, "कौन कहता है आसमान में सुरख नहीं, एक बार तबीयत से पत्थर उछल के तो देखो." Who says there is no hole in the sky? With all your strength, throw the stone and you will see the result. So therefore it is possible, but that possibility cannot be realized only through romantic imagination. It has to be accompanied with a concrete understanding, analysis of the concrete situation. What are the issues, economic, political, social, cultural, and so on and so forth, to ensure that no possibility is lost in taking on this challenge, which SFI has done in the past. At some point in time, some people told the emergency of Indira Gandhi cannot be defeated. It was defeated, and there was an outbreak of democratic student struggles all over the country, and in which, in vast parts of new areas which was inaccessible to SFI, SFI became strong. So in this situation where other forces are wavering, if SFI can take a steadfast position, this will be again possible, no doubt about that, because the attacks are at the same time isolating, alienating, and really disempowering the broadest possible sections of the students. So the numbers are our strength. We have to reach out to them. That should be the slogan of this conference. With that, I once again greet you all and hope success for the outcome of this conference. Thank you.
Comrade Y.V. Rao, former All India President of SFI, and he was President just after this implementation of neoliberalism in India, and after demolishing of after collaboration of Soviet Union. That time he was SFI All India President. So I'm waiting Comrade Y.V. Rao to greet the conference.
తొందరగా ముగించమనే ఏంటి? Dear Presidium, senior comrades on the dais, and student comrades attending from all over the country, at the outset, I would like to congratulate and I wish this conference will pass resolutions which will take the student movement to further heights. At the outset, I want to say one thing. As Neelu was pointing out, in the same hall, exactly 30 years back, in the same hall, December 5th, 1992, I was relieved as SFI secretary from this conference, and I was given the responsibility of national president in Trivandrum in January. So your invitation has taken back to those 30 years. For that, I want to congratulate you for inviting me this at the outset. Second thing, regarding the education policy, we are the best judges. How best the policies pursued by the central government is destroying the existing education system, destroying the existing rights which we have achieved through number of our struggles, sacrificing number of our comrades also. So leave alone getting new rights, getting other things. But our task is to protect whatever rights we have, whatever facilities we have, or whatever rights we have achieved through number of our struggles. So it is one of the important tasks the student movement is also facing. Second thing I would like to tell you is, Yes, government is destroying the existing educational system. It is impacting our education movements also. It impacting the student movement also. Because simply, like previously, we cannot simply organize statewide movements, nationwide movements. Simply we cannot mobilize statewide or national movements. Now and then we can do it on certain issues with our organization strength. But to go deep into the student community, the academic schedule is also affecting in a large way. Because we are finding autonomous institutions, we are finding deemed universities, we are finding semester system. So if we see all these things, mobilizing students in the old fashion also is becoming difficult. So when we are discussing with our comrades also in the United States and in Andhra Pradesh also, this is also becoming a task which we have to seriously address. So what is the solution? What are the issues that are affecting the students' community at the state level? Definitely we have to take those issues, no doubt about it. But the important thing is we have to go to the institution level, we have to go to the grassroots level, we have to go to the each and every education institution where they have a specific problems, where they have a specific issues. We have to identify it and we have to conduct local struggles, grassroots level struggles. And that is the only thing which we can, because in this after liberalization, privatization and globalization policies are seriously impacting the overall society and the student community at large in a big way. But in this changed situation, students are being divided like deemed universities, autonomous universities, like that in a different manner, semester systems. So our movements and our struggles are also to be planned in such a manner depending upon the concrete conditions in the respective education institutions or in the respective universities, etc. Second thing. The third thing is when the government is seriously attacking the higher education institutions, IITs or universities, because these are the centers where the students are coming out and questioning the government, its policies, it is trying to curb the voice of the student community. So there is no other go but to go for struggles. But here also we are coming some issues. Who is coming to struggles? That is the question raised by some of the people. Yes, struggles are being waged in a different manner, in a different modes that we have to. Recently, we have seen in one of the biggest temple, all of you know, Lord Venkateswara Balaji, Tirupati, all of you know. There recently, generally we all people go to Tirupati for what? Of course, you may not go, but most of the people will go from all over the country, all over the world. What for they will go? To ask Lord Balaji, we have attended the exams, so we see that we will pass with distinction. Our laborers will go, our unemployed people will go for jobs. And we will go through the priests. Priests are our agents between God and us. But recently what they have done? That priests are on strike. Pujaris are on strike. Pujaris on strike with CITU flags. They didn't go to Lord Venkateswara. They didn't go to Lord Balaji. But we are going to Balaji. But those priests who are conducting pujas on behalf of us, but they are carrying CITU flags and they are asking, please regularize our employment, please give bonus, or please give all these things. So, struggle whether pujari or whether priest, whether scientist, whoever it may be, struggle is the only answer, and struggle is the only necessity. So, whether you belong to which caste, which religion, which profession, which occupation, that doesn't matter. If you do struggle, your demands at least you can achieve, or at least these demands will be taken to the notice of the government. Otherwise, there is no other go. For students also, in whatever level it may be, at a school, college or university level, whatever it may be. So this study and struggle, what we are saying, struggle is the only point which is before us. Finally, I want to say one thing. We all know, Comrade Sundaraya, in 1974, while he was addressing the second SFI All India Conference, he mentioned one thing. He appealed to the students' community. Fortunately or unfortunately, there is no choice There is no choice to choose my parents before I am born. Whether I should born to a upper caste, whether I should born to a rich family, whether I should born to a Ambani or whether I should born to Tata Group. There is no choice to choose my parents before I am born. But once I am born, it is my duty to see that whether I will work for the exploiting class or whether I work for the exploited class. This conference, why I am mentioning specifically this is, we may be in different professions, we may be in different occupations, or we may go for higher studies, but wherever you are, our SFI teachers, wherever you are, you should stand by the people, you should stand by the society, you should stand by the people who are struggling, and I hope this conference will take proper decisions and it will take SFI to further heights. Thank you, comrades.
So, comrade, today we have to publish some books and supplements. So, in history, first time, Student Struggle is publishing a supplement on behalf of All India Conference. So, our former leaders and fraternal organization leaders and current student All India leaders together will publish that supplement, release. And before that, the comrades who worked behind that under the leadership of Comrade Nitish Narayanan, Comrade Hasid, Comrade Fawaz Rahman, Comrade Anil Sethu Madhavan, worked hard to publish this supplement. I am inviting that comrades to stage also. So now our former leaders and fraternal organization leaders will release the supplement. And next, the conference copy of Student Struggle, that also releasing by the former leaders and fraternal organization leaders. Then Indian researcher, that also released by the same procedure. Indian researcher. And Kerala State Committee is giving a calendar with all 35 martyr comrades from Kerala, their photos and details. So they will circulate it to all comrades, and that calendar also releasing by our former leaders and fraternal organization leaders. Now, I am inviting Comrade Mayuk Vishwas to facilitate our former leaders. First, Comrade M.A. Baby. The conference moment on. And Comrade Nitish Narayanan will hand over the book Education or Exclusion. Next to Comrade Nilolpil Basu. Actually, that book was released by Niluda, so he don't want that book now. Then Comrade Y.V. Rao. Comrade Dipsida will hand over this book, Education or Exclusion. No, he don't know. Because he released, he said. Comrade Vikram Singh. Comrade Pradikur Rahman will hand over the book. Comrade Umesh. Comrade Umesh. Comrade Balaji Kalikwad will hand over the book. To Comrade Muralidharan. Comrade Mariappan will hand over the book. Comrade Suganya. Comrade Amit Thakur will give the book. To Sriram Naik, Comrade Srijan will hand over the book. So to Comrade Arya Prasad, there is no need to give anything because she is part of us, she is SFI leader. So anyway, Sangeeta will hand over the book to Comrade Arya Prasad. She is also the one of the contributors to this book, Sangeeta Das.
Hey, son. So comrades, on behalf of Presidium and all the delegates, comrades, we are thanking to all our former leaders and fraternal organizational leaders who came here and greet us. And now we are going for a tea break. And sharp 6:15, we are giving 30 minutes